say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets in red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Please be seated. It is an honor to introduce Dr. Paul Gold, U.S. Army captain who served as a physician in the Medical Corps in Vietnam and was decorated with the Silver Star, the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, the Gallantry Cross with the Bronze Star, the Combat Medical Badge, the Vietnam Service Medal, and the Vietnam Regimental Citation Medal.
U.S. Soldier's Creed. I am an American soldier. I am a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values. I will always place the mission first. I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade. I am disciplined physically and mentally, tough, trained, and proficient in my warrior tasks and skills and drills. I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself. I am an expert and I am a professional. I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the enemies of the United States of America in close combat. I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life. I am an American soldier. And now I would like to introduce Captain Donald Wagner, who served in the U.S. Army Military Police Corps.
Shabbat Shalom. First, I would like to express our collective appreciation to the Senior Officer President, Brigadier General Donald Schenck, for honoring our veterans today by leading the processional and the recessional. Your service to our country, our community, and veterans is most appreciated. We also express our condolences on the recent loss of your father-in-law, and our expression of condolences to Janet as well. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land, and sea. These familiar, prophetic, and profound words tell with simplicity and clarity not only the history of our military and veterans, but contain a sacred promise for the present and future as well. For hundreds of years, since our forefathers declared our independence, our country has called upon its citizen soldiers to serve not only on our soil, but on foreign soil as well, places of loneliness, danger, and death. Some such places we may know of as a result of history books or movies, and others many of us know from life's experiences. Our veterans, be they Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, or Coast Guard, have answered their country's call with bravery, determination, and sometimes the ultimate sacrifice. They have exemplified the motto, duty, honor, country. We must also remember to honor their husbands, wives, children, brothers, sisters, fathers, and mothers who supported the veterans and shared in their loneliness, separation, despair, and fear. Would the relatives of the veterans present here today please stand for a moment of recognition? We thank you, too, for your service to our country. To our veterans and their families, our country owes you a debt of gratitude, one that is so large that it can never be repaid in full. Just as our Jewish heritage is steeped and guided by tradition, our congregation's observance of Veterans Day has likewise become a meaningful tradition. As Father Time will inevitably thin our ranks of veterans, we believe it is an appropriate tradition to recognize the veterans that have passed in the last 12 months. I therefore note with sadness the passing of Bill Berman, Graham Landau, Leroy Newman, and Joe Rose. Since this Veterans Day actually falls on Shabbat, I express our appreciation to the Jewish war veterans who are not only here today, but honor and memorialize the Jewish war veterans by their daily activities. In addition, we are so proud and appreciative to have the presence and participation of the Southfield Police Color Guard with us. Like the veterans, these first responders serve and protect our community every day. It is now my honor to introduce Richard Krugel, Major, United States Air Force Medical Corps, who will offer the address.
Shabbat Shalom. Before I start, I want to congratulate Lindsay and Aiden for their wonderful performance here today. They were just terrific, and I also want to congratulate their families with a mazel tov. I also want to again recognize Heidi and Ryan and their families on their marriage, and Bob Sternberg and Helen Weisberg on their significant birthdays. I stand here today both honored and humbled, speaking for my colleagues and fellow veterans on this Veterans Day Shabbat. I know that since I served stateside, I was more fortunate than many sitting here today. My time as a physician in the United States Air Force was spent at the Air Force Regional Hospital in Montgomery, Alabama. The hospital was located on Maxwell Air Force Base, the home of the Air War College. I went on active duty as the Vietnam War had just ended 6 months prior. I had volunteered for a program, the Berry Plan, which allowed physicians to complete residency training and thereby serve the needs of the armed services practicing their particular specialty. It was a privilege to serve my country and give my services as an orthopedic surgeon for 2 years, from August 1973 to 1975. The Air War College had 3 schools for various levels of officers, developing leadership for the United States Air Force. During that period of time, I was involved in keeping the students of the various schools orthopedically fit and able to continue their year at school. Many of the activities of the students involved team building, usually through sports participation, which kept us very busy as many injuries occurred. We provided services as well for the servicemen and women from 2 Air Force bases, Maxwell and Gunther, which were both in Montgomery, Alabama. Additionally, we served a large number of retired military personnel who happened to live in the Montgomery and Birmingham area, these being attractive retirement places. One of the more rewarding experiences that I had was having the opportunity to help in the rehabilitation and restoration of function for veterans recovering from serious injuries while serving in Vietnam. It was heartening to see all our veterans were being well cared for. As I prepared this talk, I spoke with several of my friends who served in Vietnam, some as doctors. To a man, they were proud with what they did and would do it again. It was a privilege to be able to contribute their time and service for our country, providing for the safety of all Americans and keeping our great country strong, free, and safe. We also recognize the contribution their families made in supporting them, especially when their loved ones were serving in faraway, dangerous places, always worrying every minute about their health and welfare, not knowing when and where danger lurked. For Sally and our 3 boys, going into the Air Force was an unknown. As we were preparing to leave Brooklyn, the boys asked if the people in Montgomery spoke English. After just having seen the movie Deliverance, I wasn't so sure. Before reporting to Maxwell, we first had to go to Wichita Falls, Texas for my basic training, where I learned to salute and march. Surprisingly, the man who was outfitting the new recruits with uniforms was from Montgomery, and upon learning we were Jewish and heading to Maxwell, he invited us to his home for Rosh Hashanah dinner, our first taste of Southern hospitality. Living in Montgomery was not so easy for a Jewish family that kept kosher. We were amazed that the BX was willing to order kosher meat for us and took an order from Sally for 500 pounds of different cuts. But, as it turned out, they had to put the meat out for everyone. Other shoppers took the best cuts, leaving us a lot of ground meat. The head of the commissary said he could not continue to do this because there was too much meat wasted, but we were always grateful that they had tried. Fortunately, the deli owner was a nice Jewish man who offered freezer space in his deli, which allowed us to get kosher meat imported from Chicago, and that got us through the 2 years. We were especially pleased to be included at the Seder at the rabbi's home both years. For these and many other reasons, Montgomery proved to be a very welcoming and inclusive Jewish community. Shortly after arriving on base, the Yom Kippur War broke out. Back then, before 24/7 news, we were desperate to know what was happening in Israel. I heard of a fundraising meeting for the Israeli war effort to be held at a Jewish home in Montgomery. That night I learned how Jews all over the world take care of each other and the state of Israel. I was blown away at the money raised and was compelled to make my first gift to UJA. At the Hadassah meeting the next morning, Sally learned what being Jewish in Alabama meant. The discussion among the women was, should the Jewish community announce in the local paper how much money we were sending to Israel? Living on base had its own special moments. One day, Colonel Up, my hospital commander, came to me and said, "Krugel, you have to do something about that son of yours. He has to stop trying to convince the other children in his kindergarten class, including my daughter, that Hanukkah is better than Christmas because he gets presents for 8 days." One of the most fortunate and rewarding experiences which clearly affected our Jewish future was meeting an Israeli Air Force, Colonel Avihu Ben-Nun, who was the first Israeli pilot invited to attend the U.S. Air War College. Since we were already living on base when Avihu, Ariella, and family arrived, and also lived on base, we became fast and good friends, which we are to this day. As an aside, Avihu went on to become Tet Aluf and head of the Israeli Air Force. When we were both leaving the base at the end of our tours of duty, Avihu asked us when we were coming to visit Israel. We answered we didn't know, but the suggestion lit up our lives, and upon returning to Detroit, we signed up for an upcoming UJA National Young Leadership mission to Israel. At the close of the trip, we took the opportunity to see Avihu and Ariella. And following that trip, we have been going to Israel many times ever since. This also led to opening opportunities for our community involvement these last 40 years. So, as you've heard, my time in the military proved to be very important to my life. As I think of those years, I am thankful to have had the opportunity to give back to America, my country, and provide meaningful service to our military men and veterans who give and gave so much. As I stand here today, we must continue to be aware of the thousands of young men and women who continue to wear the uniforms of our military, serving our great country, at times risking their lives to keep us all safe and protect us from dangers throughout this world which can threaten our country and its people. We should pray for their safety and success. Two things caught my eye this morning of Veterans Day as I was reading the morning paper. One was an op-ed by retired General David Petraeus, urging us to hire veterans and their families and not only provide them with jobs, but with opportunities for a fulfilling career, giving them a chance to apply the skills and experiences they gained during their military service. Second was a full-page ad from Starbucks stating, "Veterans, active duty, and military spouses make our communities better," and pointing out that since 2013, Starbucks have hired over 10,000 veterans and military spouses, and we're committed to hiring 15,000 more. And they have more than 30 military family stores nationwide. We must continue to support our veterans in any way we can. In finishing, I salute my fellow veterans here today and your families for your time and service to our country. I close with the words we sing almost every Shabbat. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard, for your beautiful remarks, and thank you for your distinguished service to our country. Today we honor our veterans, worthy men and women who gave their best when they were called upon to serve and protect their country, our country. Today we say to each of you, thank you. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu, our God and God of our ancestors, we pray that you will bless these veterans and their families for their unselfish service in the continual struggle to preserve our freedoms, our safety, and our country's heritage for all of us.
May God bless you abundantly for the hardships you faced, for the sacrifices you made, for your many different contributions to America's victories over tyranny and oppression. We respect you, we thank you, we honor you, we are proud of you, and we pray that God will watch over you and your families and bless you with peace and happiness. May the labors and sacrifices of these veterans be honored not in words alone, but also by our deeds.
God of compassion, God of dignity and strength, watch over the veterans of the United States, those who sit before us this morning and those throughout this country, in recognition of their loyal service to our nation. Bless them with wholeness and love, shelter them, heal their wounds, comfort their hearts, grant them peace.
God of justice and truth, rock of our lives, bless our veterans, these men and women of courage and valor with a deep and abiding understanding of our profound gratitude. Protect them and their families from loneliness and want. Grant them lives of joy and bounty. May their dedication and honor be remembered as a blessing from generation to generation.
Blessed are you, protector and redeemer, our shield and our stronghold. And let us say together, Amen.
If tomorrow all the things were gone I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I'd thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, from New York to LA, there's a pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the